So, our topic is all about academic presentation. Academic presentation is a presentation in any situation which involves speaking to a group of people in order to make a point, educate, or share information. Many presentations also have some form of supporting visual aid, such as slides, a whiteboard, projections, or flip charts. So, there are the three P's of an academic presentation. A. Plan. B. Prepare. C. Present. Each stage should inform the other to ensure an ordered, appropriate presentation offered in a confident manner. So the first one is A. Plan. Setting your objective. What is your purpose in delivering an academic presentation? What should the audience be able to learn or be able to do after your presentation? Setting a clear objective will give clear direction of what you will present and how you will present. What appropriate materials will help you effectively attain your goal? What are the things you need to prepare? What will be the content of your presentation? What will be its flow? When planning a presentation, first and foremost, we must concentrate on what's really important. Establish the objectives and how it is going to achieve them. All the emphasis should be placed on these objectives throughout the presentation and influence every aspect of the presentation. To determine the set objectives, decide what the audience must know and flow of the presentation. Consider the suggestions of the respective audience so that we can target what objectives we want to attain.
Evaluating your audience. Knowing the profile of your audience will also influence the format, content, and style of your presentation. Other than age, gender, and educational attainment, you also need to consider religious and political beliefs, attitude, and preferences of the audience. So, evaluating the audience involves identifying and knowing the audience and their interests, level of understanding, attitudes, and beliefs. In other words, knowing who the audience will help us craft our presentation. To show that you have thought about the audience, consider how much background information they will need. Do they already have some knowledge of the topic you're presenting? It's vital you get the balance right, and knowing your audience is the key. Avoid using jargons or difficult words that are beyond their level of understanding. In addition, we can be aware of those words that are sensitive and make them confused. Taking an audience-centered approach is important because a speaker effectiveness will be improved if the presentation is created, and we should always remember to consider it to be delivered in an appropriate manner, since some of us have different political beliefs, attitude, and preferences of the audience.
For the next one is evaluating the context. Evaluating the context entails looking at the environmental conditions or setting of academic presentation. The time when you will be delivering your presentation, the weather and venue can affect your style of delivery and kind of visuals. How should you speak? What should be the tone of your voice? Clear. Even tone of voice, neither harsh or too loud for the size of the room. A low tone is preferable for small numbers. Greater projection is required for better numbers in larger rooms. Be enthusiastic, but do not get too excited about what you're saying and start going off the subject. Bullet points can help you and the audience stay focused and avoid a verbal assault. Take it slowly but surely.
So the next one is prepare. Prepare the content. Similar to writing academic papers, the content of the presentation includes introduction, body, and conclusion. Establish a positive impression at the start. Introduction should not be lengthy. Before, during, and after scribbling the body of your presentation, refer back to the objective of your presentation. Conclusion is the last part of your presentation, hence it should leave a positive mark on your audience. Rule number 1. Content is the most important part of your presentation. Rule number 2. The visuals should enhance, not detract from your presentation. A clear structure will allow the audience to understand your main themes. To aid this, break your presentation down into three sections: introduction, body, and conclusion. Introduction. Introduction should not be lengthy and need to create an immediate impression and gain the attention of the audience. Therefore, it is very important to be clear about what message you are trying to relay from the outset. We need to outline enough information for the audience to understand the context of the subject. Body. The body should refer back to the objective of the presentation presented. In body, it is where the important details should be discussed or presented to the audience that need to be addressed. Avoid jumping from one point to another, and be careful about adding information that is not directly related to the presentation. Conclusion. The conclusion is as equally important as the introduction and should not be rushed. Conclusion should sum up the whole presentation. Does not introduce any new ideas, and lastly, do not keep repeating points over and over again so that we can avoid confusion in the audience. Prepare the visual. Visual aid are to enhance and not to distract the presentation. Hence, it is very important that you choose an appropriate material. Does your presentation need to be very textual? Do you need handouts, figures, charts, or graphs? Consider the following: font size and type, color, background, animation or transition, images, time allotment for each slide or part of the presentation. Visual aids will help to illustrate your presentation, but effective use of visual aids requires planning and preparation. You need to be selective so as not to overwhelm your audience. Pictures, drawings, and photographs have the potential to make an audience understand what you are trying to convey in the presentation. Don't just tell it, show it. A vivid, memorable way to get your point across. Use visual aids such as graphs, handouts, charts, or media. To ensure your presentation is accessible, minimize the number of your slides, use high contrast colors and a large, clear font. If using graphics, make them as simple as possible and avoid overcomplicated charts or graphs. Prepare yourself. One of the most forgotten aspects of preparation is preparing yourself as a presenter. You may record yourself for practicing to evaluate your presentation. Are your words clear enough to be understood? Were you able to deliver your presentation within the required span of time? Practice as many times and record all your practice sessions to check on your improvements. This will enable you to work out whether your presentation is the right length when spoken aloud, and give you the chance to get used to expressing yourself in front of others. While preparing yourself, make sure that you face the audience to give a confident impression. Regularly make eye contact with your audience. Ask yourself if it's clear, concise, and if it makes sense.
The last piece of an academic presentation is the one we call present. During the day of your presentation, go to the venue earlier and check on the multimedia projector or the things that you need for your visuals. Survey the room for friendly faces and look at these friendly faces during your presentation. But make sure to balance the distribution of your attention. While you might have prepared well for the presentation, inevitable circumstances such as reaction of your audience may not permit to finish your delivery on time. Keep track of your time but do not be rattled by the motion of the timekeeper. You may skim on your slides and highlight only on the slides that need be focused on. So, academic presentations are not always in formal settings. Sometimes they take place in classrooms in front of small groups of fellow students. Whatever the situation, they should be viewed as an important opportunity to sell your knowledge in a professional way. As a presenter, consider the following practical issues. First, do not simply read the text from the slide without any of your own words. Refrain from reading. Everyone can read. The audience can read too. If you are the presenter, you need to elaborate what are you trying to convey to the audience. Let them know what are you trying to discuss with your audience. Second, don't fall into the trap of merely reading aloud what is written on your slides. Instead, use them as a starting point from which you expand and develop your narrative discussions to the audience. Third, check your timing. On average, use 3 slides per minute as a maximum. And lastly, the joy of six is a helpful rule of thumb. Use a maximum of 6 bullets per slide and words per point, so that the audience can really understand what you are trying to present to them. That's all.
That's all for today's discussion. Goodbye and thank you.